Grab your helmet and tighten your chin strap. This is the Lieutenant Stache podcast, the podcast built for firefighters by firefighters. Leadership, tradition, culture, and the hard truths that don't make it in the textbooks. Let's go to work. Podcast episode 9. Today we have Mr. John Kubala with us. He is a former Jackson firefighter, current reservoir and Gluckstadt fireman. And I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about his fire service career and how we met and everything else. So y'all stay tuned and get ready for the Lieutenant Stache podcast. All right, Kubala. So we met back in 2014, I think it was, out at Brandon Fire Department when I started as a rookie there, and you were a lieutenant.
Maybe no, not at that time. I was still more of an RDO. I didn't make lieutenant until probably 16, I think, 16 or 17. But no, I started at the reservoir. Back right around 05, I was volunteering, and it was kind of like a fluke. One of the current captains there at the reservoir, Cliff, he does a lot of paintball stuff, and we were talking out of the paintball field. He's like, "Man, you need to come hang out." And I got out there and came to the station one day, and it's just one of those things. Just started hanging out with him and Chris White and a few others. That's where I met Danny Stevens and Josh Wells. Everybody knows him. He's like the golden child of the fire service. I mean, everybody wants to, be like him. But I came across you when I was at Brandon, and that was a fun time. I think it was like 9 of y'all got hired on at one time, or maybe 13. I can't remember. It was a big hire that they had.
That was me, David King Jr., Chase Renfro, Connor Clayton, Reese. What was Big Reese's name? He had Reese and the big Mike.
I think he went to the airport.
Yeah, and there's several of them, man. It was a big group that we all started together. I think the only one left out of all of them is Connor Clayton.
Yeah, it is. I think he's a captain over there now. We call him old baby Connor.
And then we had what was that boy's name from Evergreen that we had there? Ended up joining the Air Force.
Yeah, I remember who you're talking about. Maybe it was David King? No, David Edwards. No. He was in the Army. You see so many people you can't remember. People come and go.
I can't remember his name.
That was a weird time.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met back in 2014, and since then we've worked lawn care together. We've done firefighting together, and now we started on your most recent project. But tell us a little bit about your career in the fire service. You said you started in 2005 volunteering at Reservoir, and then from there you got hired on, I'm assuming, full-time at Reservoir. And tell us about your time
was shortly
there.
After. Starting there, it was I think it was like a house fire I was at. I think it impressed Scott Berry so much because I really didn't know anything about the fire service. I was just kind of young, and I think my dad at the time, he was like really questioning about the whole, job careers. Like you could do something better. And I was like, man, this is kind of fun. This is neat. You ride around in a truck. And I spent probably close to eight years there, and then spent pretty close to 8 years at Brandon. So those were my two main areas. I had a brief time where I went back to school and I was just focusing on education, which I still am. I'm trying to work on my bachelor's and getting a bachelor's in business marketing, because that's just kind of what I like to do. But I did a little bit of part-time on the ambulance while I was doing the fire truck and playing both roles. I got to see both spectrums of the lifestyle, and that's me. Like me and you, we spent a lot of time at AMR, working in Simpson
Yep.
County, and the what it was like. I think I was with AMR for probably close to 7 years total. Between everything, and of course down in Simpson County, that was a fun time. Especially for the
Oh
five
yeah.
years, 5.5 years, and Hugh Hubbard and Liddell and
Tom Scott.
yeah.
And
Yeah, and what was that basic's name? He lived down there in
Jeff
McGee.
Layton.
Jeff Layton. Yeah, he was the big guy over in McGee, and I was messing with him about running for mayor, and he hated it. And we came over there one day, and I put up about 100 little posters of like Jeff for mayor, all over the station. I had it in cabinets. I had it on the ceilings. I had it in the bathroom. You looked everywhere. He got so mad, he ripped him down there and told Hugh Hubbard that if he didn't fire me, that he was gonna have me transferred back up to Jackson. And it was he called me. He said, "Okay, you done got him going." I said, "He has to understand. I'm a fireman. We gonna pick on each other. You got to be able
Play
to take it."
jokes. Yeah. One
But
of the most talked about times at AMR, still when I talk to Liddell and Tom Scott on a pretty frequent basis, and their favorite memory of us two together is that day I went to shoot you with that saline syringe
oh
and nailed Hugh Hubbard in the
yeah,
chest.
I did a Matrix move, and I went back, and I remember the look on his face, and then Liddell's face is like, "This, you're gonna get yourself written up and sent home." And he told you to get into the truck and go back to your station. Uh, and white shirt, supervisor, completely soaked.
In normal
You're supposed
saline,
to.
man.
Those were some fun times.
But you
But
transitioned from AMR back to the fire service.
yeah, I spent a little bit of time on the critical care truck at UMC, and I actually really that was probably one of the best ambulance jobs I've ever had. If it wasn't for my daughter being born, I probably would have stayed with it. Just because the atmosphere was so awesome. UMC is just such a great hospital program, and all those folks that are on those aircrafts and ambulances, they are super educated on healthcare and being like the best providers. But I really enjoyed that little segment. But when you have a baby, it's kind of hard to be gone for like 3 hours at a time, transferring to Mobile and coming home. So I had to make a decision on being home for the wife and being there for the baby. So I made the move back into fire service, more full time. I was kind of playing that part time role for about 3 years of my career, and went back to Jackson. Actually, Trey Hollywood, everybody knows him by Hollywood. He's been helping me for years, and he worked at Brandon as well. He's like, "Man, you need to come to Jackson. You need to come to Jackson." And I thought about it for months, and I finally put in, went over there. Uh, Great group of folks. The crews, every single one of them, I would say by far the most welcoming people you'll ever meet. They don't make you feel uncomfortable. Everybody gives this bad stigma of Jackson is just oh, it's terrible, it's terrible. Jackson is Jackson, but those guys are probably one of the hardest working firemen I've ever seen. And I'm okay, as a firefighter. I'm not the best, but I give my hands down to these guys that run 2, 3, 4 house fires back to back to back and not let up, and just like hey, let's keep on it. I know you get tired sometimes of being over there, but
Oh, I
that's
still love the fire.
yeah.
It's a love hate relationship. There's always that part of you that wants something better for different places. But I mean, I still love the fire, and it cracks me so much up because ever since you left 19, I swear to you, there
Mhm.
for a while they were hitting a fire shift, like a house fire shift, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, Kubala only caught like 2 house fires, but was catching homeless
I
campfires.
yeah, I told Swells, I said I got probably one of the most unique fires, and that was a homeless campfire. I mean, straight up shack out in the middle of the woods. Like y'all never had one of those before. But I actually, even the north end, got some good stuff. And me and Steve Denham, we made a couple attacks on a few things. I had a few hose stretches with Stan working extras, and lot lots of you know um, commercial abandoned buildings. But there was a stretch, and Chris Chambliss, he's a captain. I think he's at 10 now. I was with him. We had like 4 shopping cart fires, and the homeless would just like put a bunch of junk in it and then just light it up in the middle of like the night, and then it'd be in a parking lot at like Target, and we'd have to go and put it out. And I was like, and that's what I was getting for the last couple times, and everybody was just making fun of me, like, we're gonna call you the shopping cart, the firebug or whatever. And I was like, I didn't really care.
It just cracked me up so much because I remember like the whole time you were at 19, you called me and we talk about the different little shopping cart fires, homeless campfire,
Yeah,
and you're like, it's just not very hot as far as house fires out here. And then,
yeah,
I mean, the within a month of you leaving, I swear I heard 19 every shift for like 20 shifts in a row catching something. And I was like,
yeah.
what the heck happened to 19?
I
The
will
White
say
Cloud
this
led to.
though. I will say this, that I enjoyed that crew the most. Uh, the crew I worked with, and then we had a ladder company there too. Of course, Steve went up to become the a big
C2.
assistant chief. Yeah, C2. But we hit it off really well, and I remember walking in there my first shift, and well, one of them was like, "Did you bring your gun?" Like, no. You probably need to, and put it under your pillow. And everybody's like, "Yeah, you need to." And I'm like, "What did I get myself into this?" You know. My wife said, "I thought you were going in a safe area." I said, "It's the safer area, I guess. I don't know." But honestly, I spent a couple. I got swung down, down south. I never really felt uncomfortable at all. Like, I think the guys, they'll stand up, when people mess with somebody. And I just it was a cool experience. I definitely enjoyed it, and I definitely would do it again in a heartbeat, especially if they opened up part time, just to go back and mess with Steve and a few others. Give my
I mean,
old guy, Jimmy Barnes, a hard time.
I tell
He,
everybody when they ask me, "Aren't you scared to go to work?" And my very first shift was at 12 on McDowell and McFadden,
yeah,
and I remember I was terrified going to work that day. Not necessarily terrified, but like you have a respect for South Jackson. You got to. I mean,
yeah,
it's just part of it. And so I remember getting there and like I see the station and there's no cars hardly out. Everybody had already parked inside by the time I got there because I came in on the back half of a shift is when they started me. And
yeah,
I remember thinking to myself like, is this what I'm getting into? And then I go into my first shift and it wasn't 30 minutes after I got there, we rang out for an apartment fire. I was like, holy snap, here we go. And then the first night, I think I fought like 2 or 3 house fires. No, it was 2 house fires
yeah,
in an apartment. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I ain't fought this much fire the whole time I've been in Clinton. And here
yeah,
we go, starting off, and I'm fighting 2 house fires and an apartment fire in one night. And
yeah,
I tell you, I owe Jackson a lot because Jackson's taught me so much, and I fought a good bit of fire at this point in my career. Um, but it's like you said, it's one of the best departments I've ever worked for as far as the people, the guys showing up to calls and ready to fight fire, but they also know what they're fighting.
yeah. It was the weird because the first like 3 or 4 months we didn't have anything, and it was like I was like a white cloud coming in there, and then we got all the shopping carts, and then for a little bit it was like we're actually getting a few little things, not as much as down south, but I know uh, DC Youssef. He sent me down to two to swing, and I went to 14. And I remember walking in there, and by then everybody kind of knew who I was, on the shift, and uh, they were like, "I hope you're ready, baby boy." It's like I don't even know what I'm going to get into. We didn't run a single call that entire day, and the entire crew that they got to sleep all night. And I remember Corey waking up that next morning. He goes, "Hey, buddy, you can come back here anytime." you know, I was like, "I'm sorry, I just nothing ever cool happens with me." It's always on the other shifts, but no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people. I have nothing bad to say about them, and they are truly a different breed of firemen. They they look at what they're doing and they truly do it with heart to take care of those people. Because some of those people, you sit there and you watch their house get burned. They don't have anything else to replace it. They don't have the insurance to take care of it, and it's really sad to see that. And I hate to see somebody lose everything. And that's one thing about them. They really put everything into it to try to give these people hope. So definitely some cool folks out there.
And so then you left Jackson. It's almost been 6, 7 months ago now.
Yeah, I'm in a very, very unique situation. Yeah, of course, starting in my career, everybody's got to have a side job. And uh, early when hold on, let me rephrase this. Early in my career, I started lawn care back at the reservoir, and I've pretty much been doing it for a good while, probably close to about 20 years. And it really has been taken off the last probably 7 years, and Hollywood stuck with me through the longest time. Um, but I got to a situation where I was able to do things that normal people couldn't do, and one thing that I started doing was years ago was a service called Free Cut Friday, and I didn't advertise it for the longest time, but it actually happened at random when I was at Brandon, and we ran a call. A guy had fallen off a ladder, hurt himself really, really, really bad, and he was cutting his bushes, and we got him cleaned up, wrapped up, bandaged up, sent him on the hospital. But we got back to the station, and I started thinking to myself, I was like, man, I really want to finish these guys' bushes. And I talked to the crew on the ladder truck, and I said, hey, one of the lieutenants, I said, hey, you want to do something tomorrow? Do you got any time off? He's like, oh no, what you got? I was like, let's go. I want to go finish these guys' bushes. Anyway, we grabbed another firefighter, and the next morning I went over there. I grabbed my stuff, and knocked on the door. The guy had actually came back, and I talked to him and his wife for about 30 minutes. They showed me the pictures of the injuries of how bad he was hurt, and we knocked it out, in 30 minutes, and he was just so happy and so uh, um, intrigued by that we did something, and we went on back to the station, or that we went on back to our day, and didn't think of it, didn't say anything to it, but it really about 2 years after that, when I was working on the ambulance, we ran a call where a little girl had fallen off the back of a four wheeler and she hit her head. And she was riding with her dad. It wasn't going really fast, maybe 25, 30 miles an hour. He said he wasn't doing anything crazy, but she ended up being in the hospital for like 4 months, on a tube, and
Mm.
eventually she passed away. But during that 4 months, I was traveling down there and I was cutting her yard. It took me 40 minutes one trip to get there, and it took me about an hour and a half to cut their property. It was about 2.5 acre property, and I did it for that time being. And they kept saying, "You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this." I said, "No." They were up in the hospital taking care of, trying to take care of the little girl, spending as much time. But I remember when I learned that they had passed away, and I went back, to the funeral, and I was heartbreaking for them. just me being able to do that stuff. I've been doing it for so long that I don't even think about it anymore. I've actually got one scheduled for tomorrow to do for a lady, but it really hit about 5 years ago. I was coming back from a picking up a mower, and a lady had called me and, hey, I need my yard cut. And I said, I got the bare minimum stuff to do it. I didn't even have enough fuel. And I was sitting there thinking, maybe I can get this thing cut, or do I have to stop at a gas station? But there was no gas stations on the way there. So I went over there, I talked to her, I cut it, and, you know, she asked me how much I charged. And I said, don't worry about it. God's blessed me in many, many ways. And just all I ask is, pay it forward, to somebody that needs it. And she broke down in tears. She goes, "You are like the biggest thing." Like I didn't know if I was gonna have any money to pay for it. I said, "It's okay. I've had a really good week, of doing work and stuff." And on the way home and putting the stuff up there, it really hit me. That's what I was gonna do. And so for the last couple of 2 years, I really kind of went public with it, and even with the help of my church to help support it. And they, I put it out there. I go and we'll cut about 3 to 4, sometimes 6 properties on a Friday. And you know how the shift schedule is. We rotate it out. I pretty much during grass season I block the Fridays off for majority of them. If I'm not able to, I make sure somebody is open there. But it's become more of a ministry, and it's really, really hard to flex to be able to do that. And I've gotten myself into a unique situation that nobody really does, and I'm basically part-timing back at home at the reservoir, and I've been able to pick up Gluckstadt and helping them out. They've been really, really, really great working around the two departments. I mean, they understand what I'm doing and trying to help, but I basically don't have a full-time job. I guess you could say my lawn care is a full-time job, but I still get my 10 shifts a month. I somehow schedule them all out, and we just space it out where it works, but it allows me to keep the Fridays available. And I spend a lot of time on Sunday mornings, in front of the stage at church. I play acoustic guitar, and it's one of my favorite hobbies and passions. I've been probably playing close to maybe 11, 12 years now. And, just working in that kind of aspect of, ministry work. So it's kind of really hard to do that kind of schedule. And that's kind of where I'm at in my career. I don't know exactly what'll happen in the next 4 years, but I'm just kind of winging it.
I
But
called you this
some
morning.
people
I told you you're the professional part-time fireman.
that is exactly what I am. I think I told Ryan Sanford. He's one of the uh,
Yeah.
one of the original people at the reservoir. He actually gave me my nickname, Whitey. I've had that name forever. Everybody knows who I am, and if you don't, you're fixing to know. But yeah, I was telling, I was like, I, I don't have a full, like everybody keeps asking me like, whoa, dude, where do you work at? I was like, I just pick up shifts here and there. Like I'm just a bum, but it works, and I get to help out. I get to be still part of everything, and still get to mess, with the guys that I've known for years. So it's all fun and dandy. But I am actually kind of working more on, I guess, like, so we're transitioning to what we're talking about is I do a lot of social media. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize, I was able to do the Free Cut Fridays because of a channel that I started years ago to help promote the business. And getting into learning how to edit and cut videos over the years, I think maybe 5 years worth of cutting, I, I I've gotten about close to 400 videos I've produced, and it's across actually 6 different platforms. And social media has been kind of a cool thing that I really didn't know that I was able to do, but I found a little niche that I was good at, and like I kind of enjoy it, and I have fun with it. But I'm really kind of pushing the progression for the state to be shown, as far as fire service as a whole, not just individually. Um, I guess what we can say is, I don't know how you can word it. We're in a like downtick, of trying to get recruitment in it, and
Yeah.
a lot of the old heads, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, they're stuck in this. We've been doing it the same way for the last 30 years, and these young guys, they look at this stuff and they want to see the coolness. They want to see the nitty gritty. They want to see all the bells and whistles of what this job is. And I was able to take all the skills and take off. And I've created a channel that was actually on accident, and creating cool little montage fire videos. And that's kind of blown into full blown promotional videos for departments. And I've got, I mean, well, right now we're working on the reservoir video. It's about to be finished up pretty soon, but there are 3 other videos that are in the makings, and it takes months to produce this kind of stuff, uh, especially at this quality. But we're also getting other departments to be able to show off some equipment and stations, getting them lined up and getting them ready and prepped so that way they can present themselves the best they can, and they can be proud of what they have and showcase what they are. But we're in a generation that you have to capture those young folks right then and there. I
100%.
blinked,
Yeah.
and I realized that I am now going on 21 years. Like I don't, it don't even seem like it. It's gone by so quick. And now we're looking at replacing those next folks. And it's been
Yep.
said on this podcast, like money's been the biggest issue. And I think any job that you have, money will always be kind of the factor. Even as a business owner of 20 years, I've finally been able to get my pay rates to where they're at to be really, really competitive. Like somebody that wants to come work with me and learn the trade, which majority of the guys I have are all firemen from all surrounding areas. Which, number one, they like it because I'm flexible with their schedules because I understand it. I am one of them, and the other thing is my client base loves the fact that I have public service people helping, and they're trustworthy. But we look at it now like there's been a huge a tick in trying to get pay up in some of the areas, and it's come up some, but marketing is going to be the key point in that. I hear a lot of things about like we can't get people in the door, and the question is, you have to ask yourself, what do you have to offer? What do you
Right.
have to get people in that door? It's that we're not in the day and age of you can just pick anybody and you're going to have 500 people apply at it. It's not about just what that person like me coming to go to a department and say, "Hey, I want to work here." What do they have? But it's also what that department has to offer for them. Why are they here? And being the biggest thing is being creative of not just about the money, it's being creative of how you take care of the people. You know, I
No,
heard
100%.
I heard a statement the other day, and I'm not going to mention names or departments and stuff. They said, "Oh well, we're going to lose 5 guys. We'll just replace them tomorrow." And I'm
But
sitting
they're
there
not.
thinking, I'm sitting there
That's the
thinking,
sad part.
that right there, that mentality is part of that old mindset,
Well,
and
and
it
you brought up some good
we need to get
points
rid of it.
there. You brought up some really good points, and looking at the younger generation, I mean, you do have to captivate them, and it's crazy that if you can make something look pretty on a video, or you can make a
Mhm.
poster look really pretty, you can catch some young people. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Chief Buckley the other day. I said, what young people fail to realize when they hire on a fire service is the actual benefits they need to look at. I mean, they
Hmm.
need to look at their retirement packages. We get so caught up as a young guy looking at, oh man, I want to go be a fireman because it's a cool thing to do, and
Yeah.
then they get in for 5 years and the the benefits are not where they should be, and then they end up
Yeah.
moving on. And we got to so yes, recruitment, which is what we're mainly talking about today, is a big aspect of the fire service, and we got
I
to get better about that, and we got to
yeah.
sell it better.
I'm gonna say this, and some people are gonna disagree about it, but I put myself in a position in business where I could take care of my family, and then when I come and get on that truck, it's for fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Yeah,
saying that they're not good enough to be that part, but I separated myself to be that because one, it'll if you think about the money, it's just going to drag you down. You know,
yep,
Swell said one thing that was super important, and that Mississippi is literally the bottom of where the salaries should be in the fire service. Now, granted, some departments have like really good salaries. They they have chiefs and mayors and council men and women that have really progressed and try to be competitive, but there's still several that are just they're so behind. And there's chiefs out there that are trying to fight for their guys every day and they can't get any headway.
yep,
And one thing though is I'm gonna point out to it, regardless of where I'm at, even if I'm part time, I still treat that job as if I was a full time fireman. I have that
yep,
full time mentality. And one of the training officers at Gluckstadt, Travis, he said, even if you're part time, you should have that mentality of I'm a full time fireman, and that's that mindset we have to be in. Um, but being able to be flexible allowed me to be focus more about how I present myself to others. I kind of go back into the Jackson time, and one of the lieutenants, Jimmy Barnes, he kept saying, "B, why are you so happy every time you come in there?" I said, "Because I got to worry. I don't have to worry about anything. You know, I'm just here to hang out, do these calls, do what's needed to be done, try to make the place a little bit better." And that's me. I'm always going to try to put that extra 10% in what I do. And I put that happiness and I spread it out to everybody I do. Like I don't want you to see me as a disgruntled, I hate my job, I hate being here because it's just a cancer. It's like just it endures everybody and everything around. And we know that there's cancerous people in there that they don't want people to be happy. They don't want people to succeed. And that's what's really like a portion of what's killing, the recruitment of this job. A lot of guys are,
yep,
just saying, I'm done with it. I'm done being treated like, well, I'm nothing. And I look at like Josh Swells, and he has always been and always will be probably one of the top five mentors in my life. Um, his mindset and attitude is probably what a chief needs to be at. Um, I'm sure there's plenty of good chiefs out there, but they want the progression. They want to do the best for their guys. But one thing is he has a open mindset. If like you have an idea, he's gonna like look into it. For their full time guys, hey, we'll look into it, see if it works. If it works, we'll go with it. If the guys like it, we'll do it. It's like when they went to the 4896, they went to it. They all talked about it, and they changed it. And
yep.
that's been a good thing for them, and they're happy with it. You know, I don't think anybody that I've worked with over there, even though it's a whole new crew of people since I first was there, I don't think anybody, not doesn't like it, But that's that mindset that, we all need to be under. I think I think we're in this like time, and I see a lot of people that are just kind of mellowed out in their
Right.
careers, and I like this is the time we kind of need to just push a little bit and get Mississippi from being that bottom, and let's kind of bring
Oh
it
yeah.
up there. We may not be at the top, but
Mhm.
we
We
gonna we
can at
gonna
least come up. Yeah.
we gonna come up there, and that's comes down to just the attitudes that we have with each other and the mindset, but it
So
comes down to marketing as well.
well, and that's what I was going to say. Let's steer kind of back to the marketing. And I remember when you first started the your lawn care one, and then I remember the first video you shot for uh, Fourth Alarm Media.
Yeah,
And by the way, anybody listening, his YouTube channel for fire department is Fourth Alarm Media, and his first video was a Jackson Fire video, and I was actually, it's kind of funny. I was in both your first videos for that you did on your channel, and then
yeah,
I ended up being in the third video too.
yeah,
So two different departments, but I was in three of his videos. But
yeah.
your first video,
That
I remember seeing the prequel or the little teaser, as you call them, and
yeah,
man, it hypes everybody up. Like the way you presented that teaser, just it had everybody around the state looking at that video.
yeah.
And I don't remember how many views you've had on it now. I'm sure
It's well, they kind of go. I think the Jackson one is still picking up traction after 2 years. I think it's over 30,000 views, and that's probably it. And one of the videos in my one of my other channels has been close to that amount. That's been the biggest traffic. But it, when I did that video, I did it in complete secret. Like nobody knew that I was doing it except for the crew and I think my district chief. And I said, I'm going to try something. I've been doing these stuff, and I was talking with Steve, and I said, I think people would like it. So I took like an old idea of video of it, and I said, let's do something. And I just put cool little fire things on there. And let me tell you, when it went out there, like, everybody was like, where did this come from? And it was just me playing around and seeing what people like. And I've kind of researched over the last years of figuring out what people like to watch and stuff. And they wanted to see that nitty gritty. They want to see all the fires,
yeah,
the big stuff. They want to see like people on the nozzles, splashing, and being able to capture all those images, isolate them, and showcase them in a just a wow effect. Um, that's what really got people hyped up about it, and it kind of sparked that, and not just at Jackson, just around the whole area.
right.
And as I kind of grew, and I started trying to play around with certain styles of editing and different color grades. Like I think the Reservoir video, it's probably has the closest to movie production I could possibly get. I'm always trying to work and tweak stuff out, but I'm telling you, I'm so excited about this. I was talking to Trent about it. The montage, they're supposed to be the veil of everything about what that department is, and when I put those together, I'm literally painting a picture of what the department is in the best suit it owns in its closet. Like I want it to be fantastic, and I did. It's the same way I did with Clinton. I
I got
wanted
a
those guys
I got a little
to be
question
proud
on
of it.
that video. You got to
What's
tell
that?
me, you at least got Josh Swales doing the Fireman Combat Challenge in there a little bit, didn't you?
No, but the combat challenge is in there for their fit test, but they talk about it in his interview. I wish we could have done it, but I'm sure he would do it if I persuade him. But I didn't put that in there. I was trying to watch exactly what goes in these videos, which are typically really really secret. Like I don't reveal anything up until the premiere date. So
Right.
that's kind of my um, forte is like when it comes up, everybody gets to see it, So it's always like
Right.
this jaw dropping wowness.
So let's kind of talk about. So you talked about how we were discussing how you started off with Jackson, moved to Clinton to do a video. Now you're doing Reservoir. So let's talk about what these videos do in the state of Mississippi. Like you said, we don't have a very big social media presence as a state of fire departments. I mean, you look at New York, you look at
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these bigger departments in Texas, anywhere. They're starting to really publicize some of their calls, and not necessarily the bad stuff of it, but they're
Yeah,
still trying to show a little bit of the fires and stuff like that to really show. Not only is it trying to get people in the doors, but it also shows your public. It shows your aldermen. It shows your alderwomen. It shows your mayors what these guys are actually doing. Because I mean,
yeah,
outside of what you see on the news, that's all you see. Other than
yeah.
that, you think they just go sit on a chair and eat food and just play video games or work out, do
Yeah.
whatever.
Some of them are
But
completely clueless. Like they have no idea
right,
how the fire service operates. They just think, oh, they're just a bunch of money that we're just spending. Oh, we got to buy a new truck. There's another $1 million. They don't
and
actually see that inside, and that's kind of portion of it. I kind of like take the orange and I slice it open, and basically I just kind of peel it away and I showcase what they're doing. As far as making themselves better, making the public, the education to the public of what they are and who they are too. And the biggest thing too is it's a teaching aspect as well, not just for the city personnel, but for other departments to say, hey, we need to kind of be like these guys. Their training techniques over here are different, and being able to capture that kind of stuff on film is so crucial. It's very, very difficult because at Jackson you could sit anywhere and get a house fire, but in a smaller department it may be 4 or 5 months before you get a house fire. So you have to be creative and do these other things of PR. So trying to mix everything all in one and keep the image of that department, in a very good relationship to the public is so important. And that's where my skill set has really kind of drawn, and I've kind of, carved it out and fine lined about what needs to be seen and what doesn't need to be seen. Because I do pull actual live scene footage, I do pull body cam footage uh, on scene, and it takes those scenes. They take a lot of time because I have to blur and edit a lot of that stuff out and redact a lot of the information that shouldn't be seen, for HIPAA
100%,
purposes.
yeah.
And like Josh, Chief Swales, he absolutely trusts me with the image of his department, and that says a lot. I was able to go into Rankin SO's dispatch and record one of their dispatchers for this, and not being able to have the sheriff sitting over your shoulder figuring out what's to do, like they to be able to have that comfort and saying these guys trust me says a lot about my work. I take pride in it. You know, uh, these videos, they take months of uh, recording and hours and hours of editing. I think the Reservoir video is going to be right around 80 hours in editing once it's complete. But and that's me knowing the software, knowing the skills, and doing 400 videos and 7,000 hours already. Um, it can be daunting to somebody, but I like them to be spectacular in a way that it makes the whole department and other departments just be excited about it. And that's
And
you know
it's pretty. You're kind of bridging that gap between the public, the fire service, and your elected officials, and it's really
hmm
bridging the gap in Mississippi, in my opinion, because it's what we have to do. Like you've said multiple times, Mississippi's at the bottom of a lot of things, but by us building our public's trust, our elected officials' trust, and your videos are not just seen in Mississippi; they're seen across the world. It's kind of showing
Yeah,
that Mississippi
it's
still has a lot to give.
yeah, it's getting picked up in Australia. It's getting picked up over in Europe. Some of the views, because I look at the analytics, and that was something I had to learn is to figure out what people want to see and what they captivate. And the style of editing that I do, I've kind of honed it down to I know what's going to get people laughing. I know it's going to get
Yeah,
serious. I mean, I mean, the Reservoir video is kind of like the showcase of everything I've put together and pushing those skills of my set and showing these guys, giving them the spotlight. You know, like I said, I've got so many channels. I'm fixing to start another channel where I'm going to be camping out of the back of my car, like a homeless person. And I'm actually doing it to help funnel subscribers into these other channels. Um, but that I love being able to spotlight the guys on the front lines. You know,
and I was gonna say you
especially
brought up
the
spotlight.
ground.
I know recently you started I think it's once a week you highlight a firefighter in the Rankin County
Mhm.
area, and
Yeah,
that's been pretty cool.
I yeah, I've had a lot of feedback over it, and I wish I could do everybody. Everybody deserves pictures. I think even if you don't think you're good enough to be, I think everybody deserves to be put out there. And I'm taking care of the reservoir guys and getting some glove stat love, but I've been kind of pushing to these other departments, chiefs that say, hey, get your battalion chiefs, y'all come up with one of y'all's best firefighter, one that does the most. It doesn't matter what shift they are, where they're at. Give me a name, give me a date. I'm gonna do a little sneak attack, and we'll put them out there on there. So that I plan on kind of broadening it out there just to kind of give sprinkle my goodness, of Whitey's of attention because it makes them feel
appreciate it.
so much most important. You know, what I'm saying like
Yeah.
I was telling a story. Man, when I was at a department, I'm not going to say it. Having a mayor sit there and tell you you're not good enough, we can replace you. That just makes that burns me in there. I think anybody that does this job, regardless of whatever they're doing it for, if it's just money or if they're just trying to get by, they have some type of little passion of helping people and to give that time to the public, it should be appreciated.
Well, and
These little gestures, they don't cost anything. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go over here. We're gonna do a little mini photo shoot. In 15 minutes, we're done. And I love it seeing the wives of firemen get excited about it. Like, it's for me, it's just me playing around with some, photography editing skills. Trying to hone that down. Um,
well, that and another part of it is it makes the firefighter feel appreciative. But I remember even in my career, which I've only been in the fire service for 10 years versus the 20. But I remember a mayor coming to our station and having a meeting with our whole crew, or not our crew, but our whole shift, and saying, "Y'all are in the unique position to work another job." And
yeah,
stuff like that. It's just like, what are you talking about, man? Like, we're giving you everything we have
yeah,
for 24 hours. If that tone drops off, if that phone call comes in, we're getting on that truck and we don't know if we're going home at the end of the night. We're gonna try our best to, and we're gonna try our best to make sure everybody else goes home. But at the end of the day, our wives, our kids, our families, and us especially have all accepted the fact that there may be a day we don't make it off that out of that location and that
yeah,
we don't get back on that truck. And when people realize that in the public and everywhere that these men and women, law enforcement, EMS, fire department, all of these guys, they go to work every day knowing it could be their last. And it takes a special breed of people. And I got to throw out the soldiers too that serve overseas and all those guys. But we don't do it just to do it. We do it because that's what we love. And I know
Hmm.
you're passionate about the fire service. Josh Wells is passionate about the fire. There's so many firefighters in the state of Mississippi that absolutely love this job, or we wouldn't
Yeah.
do what we do.
The Swells loves his guys. He wants them to succeed, and I see it. Like it's night or day. Like he gives them everything that he can offer in what his realm of being a chief, a boss, and even me as I don't like my team that works for me call me a boss. I hate that name. I don't want to be a leader. Just a team member. I just schedule the work. I want those guys, and I see it too. Swells wants those guys to be like their own, um, in control of what they can do and within the realm of what they're allowed to do, but be passionate about it. They train really really good. Um, each shift, each crew is very unique. They have some funny guys. They got some serious guys. They got some really smart guys too, and it's just a unique atmosphere of people. And I wish Swells could be like multiplied in like 50, and then just sprinkle them to all the departments so they can have a little bit of Swells everywhere. Because his passion for developing better firefighters, I think would go a long way. I wish I had that drive in myself. I blink and I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired. I
Mm.
had to kick in a door the other day. I was like, this ain't gonna, this ain't gonna work.
You know,
You get
you
older.
say that. Levius Buckley, he said it on my podcast on this very second episode when I
That's my
interviewed with,
classmate.
yeah.
I have to give him some props, because me and him went to the academy together.
But the second episode, he says it on there. The day I interviewed, he said, this guy ain't going to make it.
Hmm.
And then he admitted that he was wrong. Uh, that several years later, I mean, I turned out to be, in his opinion, I hope, a good firefighter. But
Yeah.
he knows I have a passion for the fire service. And I bring this up just to say, even though Levius didn't know on the interview board if I was going to make it, he still poured everything into me and still tried to give me the best opportunity to make it. And so
Yeah.
it's people like Josh Wells, it's people like Levius Buckley, Chip Rochelle, these guys that
Hmm.
still care to bring up their firefighters. And, we got to do that as a fire service in general.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to go into, uh, as far as marketing for departments, how they can start this. And obviously, your phone's open and your email's open at all times, and you're more than
Yeah.
willing to come market for them. But
Yeah.
what is like a basic start that a department in Mississippi could do to kind of make that marketing presence or that social
It,
media presence?
it doesn't matter if you're a career or volunteer. Most important thing and the easiest thing is just being able to take some pictures of what y'all are doing in the public and showcasing that. And I tell this too, you have to be careful of what you show. You can't show, car wrecks with dead people in them. I don't put that kind of stuff on the videos. And the reason being is I want to respect those types of stuff.
Family, yeah.
But yeah, in the family, I don't want them to see that. But if there's you know, an excavator on fire and they're putting it out, might as well let's just show it because it's cool. Um, but taking pictures of things that you're doing, whether it's just PR work or just around the station, these guys, allow the biggest thing that people make the mistakes, and I see this a lot. You don't force your guys on camera. Okay, and that's one of my big pet peeves. It's not even allowed. A chief cannot force any of the guys on their camera. They have to be willing to put themselves out there and do it in the most professional way. Um, because number one, it could be privacy issues. They could have something going on, and you're sitting there showboating them off there. So you got to be kind of careful on that. But I always ask somebody, "Hey, do you mind doing this, or would you mind carrying this hose for this shot?" Um, it really allows that person to be more comfortable in front of the camera too. You're gonna have some people that are like really, really, really good at like posing and being pretty poster boys. I know a couple guys at Jackson when they did a picture pose and it went viral. Like it was, they were all cut up, perfectly ripped up, and it, I don't know, it got shared like 20,000 times or something like that. But you gotta be careful on putting your guys out there and not forcing them to. When I do interviews and stuff like that, I want people to feel comfortable. I don't want the fake, like, oh, I'm sitting here in front of this camera. I don't really want to do this. You know what I'm saying? So, like, hey, if you have somebody that can really talk on camera, that's comfortable at it, let them have that option, and you teach the ones that are not comfortable and getting that practice and being in front of the camera. Like me and you can talk because I walk around, every day doing my jobs, and recording on my other channel, for lawn care. And, I'm out, you know, talking to a camera in the middle of the yard or, on the middle of the street, just telling people, to me, it's second nature. But, when I have a new person come on a crew, I don't put them in front of that camera. I want them to see it for a while and then get comfortable if they choose to, participate in it. It's the same with the fire department. You know, don't force this whole media. Oh, we got to be in front. We got to take pictures all the time. Hey, let them be that deciding factor. That's how you're going to get a better reaction. And the people that are looking at those pictures and videos, they can see the difference in somebody that's really natural and really ones that are just kind of like, he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's an easy way to market, and just showcasing it. You don't have to have the whole fancy cameras, the whole setups. I mean, I think somebody asked me how much equipment I have. I probably have just under probably $18,000 worth of camera equipment that I've accrued over the last, I don't know, 5-6 years doing all this stuff. I literally just bought a laptop 3 weeks ago that was, we're not going to say that because my
Mm.
wife's like, I can't believe you bought that. But uh, it can be expensive, doing that kind of stuff. But really and truly, like a cell phone is a great start. Um, and a GoPro, just to have some cab footage, put in a BC truck just to kind of see what some of the scenes are, and you know having somebody that's comfortable talking on camera or even just doing audio overlay. It's a very simple start.
Yep.
But
So I mean, you've given some great pointers, and there's something we've been waiting all episode to kind of reveal. Not many people know about, and it's something. My whole mission with this podcast was to highlight Mississippi firefighters. It was also to highlight the things that Mississippi firefighters are doing for the state and their
you know,
firefighters. And so we're going to kind of give a reveal today of something that you've been working on behind the scenes, and it's getting closer and closer to being ready. And we're gonna let you
yeah.
kind of talk about it.
Well, I want to go back and kind of point out to something, and it was something Swell said. Mississippi is sitting on the bottom end of salaries, and the North End's doing pretty good. There's some on the South End, they're still low. But one thing people missed, and I'm really kind of pushing not just the departments, but really egging for those chiefs all over the place to try to push the guys' salaries up. Um, we have to look at something. If a person gets hurt on the job and their salary is like, the median average right now, I think is 38 to 42 within in the state. We got some that are hitting the 60s and 70s, but some of them are still in the 30s. I know. I think Yazoo is like 28,000 starting off still, and that's not enough to do. But what people don't realize is if that person gets hurt on the job, they lose that. Workers' comp only pays 60% of their salary, so they're now working or living off of $18,000 or less. And I looked at that and I was like, that's not going to work. The only way for most people to even live off of in this day and age is you got to have like 3 jobs.
And man, you hit the nail on the head on so many points tonight. And like you said, it really takes that mound of people. And in the in the description below, we're gonna link your Fourth Alarm Media channel. Well, I gotta give a quick shout out to Firefighter Cancer Support Network. You got Mississippi representatives here. You saw them on the podcast last week. Also, give another big shout out to J&J Designs for all the stuff that I get to give everybody on the podcast. And then Firehouse Graphics for the stickers that they have made that also go to anybody that's been on the podcast. And then another huge shout out to Nobility Industries, guys. I just put out a video on one of their creations that they made. And I tell you, when it comes to trying to find webbing in the dark, trying to have easement of putting that webbing on someone to drag a victim out, man, they have exceeded the expectations. They have a glow-in-the-dark ball that allows your hand to just grab it, and you can feel it as you reach down to your turnout britches. And it also keeps that webbing something that gives you a handle to pull around your patient, man. So y'all check out Nobility Industries, Firehouse Graphics, and don't forget about the Firefighter Cancer Support Network and J&J Designs. All these guys help support me with my channel. And, I give a shout out to everybody in Mississippi. Y'all are my drive for this channel, and I really hope that it reaches out to the state, because I tell you, I'm having a lot of fun and getting to meet a lot of great people on this channel. And y'all are still, I can't wait till I can get Jerry Floyd up here, or Rick Hall and John Stegall. When they come on the channel, I tell y'all, it's going to be a lot of knowledge coming from a lot of years. And John Kubala can kind of speak to Rick Hall. He's a local legend in Jackson Fire, and that name is known. So guys, if there's people y'all want to see on here, if there's people y'all think need to be highlighted, please reach out. Let me know. My email is Lieutenant Stache, or lieutenant.lt.stache25@gmail.com. And then y'all can reach out to me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, we're on Spotify as well. So, like I said, please reach out. And man, thank you, Kubala. Thanks for coming on, man. It's a great discussion, and I feel like we've covered a lot of great topics, and hopefully it'll help get your organization off the ground. And I think it's going to be the ember of hope. It's going to be something that it's going to put us on the map, and I really hope it does. And you got my full support. Whatever we can do, we'll advertise for you. We'll put it on our channel. And I hope everybody has a great night. And I look forward to the next one.